Hey there guys, Aldershot here, and today we're going to do an impression video on Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea Episode 2. This is the second and final episode to the Burial at Sea saga. This is also going to be the final installment to the Season Pass, if you purchase the Season Pass, alright. Now, this being a Bioshock game, this is going to be very story-centric, very story-heavy, so I'm going to do my best to spoil as little as possible, but I can't make any, promises, because this being an impression video, I do have to show off some gameplay, and that in itself is kind of a spoiler. But if I do have to talk about the story, which I definitely will, I'll try to remain as ambiguous and as cryptic as possible. We're also going to jump into somewhere in the early middle of the game, as not to spoil the very early game, because you'll definitely play through that if you do decide to play through it, and obviously not to spoil the end game as well, alright? And something else about this impression video, we're not going to really talk about the basic mechanics of this game, because this is a Bioshock game. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with Bioshock and what to expect. You know there's plasmids, and I know you guys know that this is a first-person shooter, or first-person game anyways, so I don't think I need to go into details like that. Anyways, let's get into it. So we actually got a game already prepped up just for this impression video. Alright, so one thing that's definitely going to set this game apart from previous installments is that this is actually more stealth based, alright? So it's not as run and gunny, it's not as shoot 'em up as previous Bioshock tend to be. This is more stealth oriented. You're going to want to sneak around quite a bit, and the reason being is because this time around you're actually playing as Elizabeth, which is kind of interesting. Now, because you're Elizabeth, you can't take as much hits. In fact, it only takes a couple of hits to kill you. And you don't carry as much ammo as well. And you also carry different variety of armory than Booker DeWitt, as well as new plasmids to kind of emphasize the stealth play of this game a little bit more. Alright, so I'll show some of those off actually a little bit. You do have this crossbow tranquilizer gun here, where you kind of shoot a sleeping dart into your opponents, and obviously will put them to sleep. Now the interesting about this crossbow tranquilizer, you can actually retrieve the dart and reuse it again. Now it does come with a limited use per dart, and you can actually lose it from time to time, so do keep that in mind. And there's another variation where you can use like a knockout gas, where you hit a mob and it'll kind of cause an AoE gas effect that'll knock out a bunch of mobs in an area. They're a little bit rarer to come by, and you can't carry as much, alright? Now you do still have your usual, handgun, even the radar range has made its return, and the shotgun of course, but you carry a lot less ammo than Booker did, so you're definitely going to want to reserve them for absolute, like, final resource kind of situations, alright? And you do have an interesting new kind of plasmid as well, this one called Peeping Tom. I'll show this one mostly because this is going to be one of the core plasmids that you're going to use in this game. You can actually tap it, and that'll bring up the mobs around your area. That's definitely going to be useful, as that's basically your enemy radar in this game, and this being a stealth game, that's going to be very, very, very useful and extremely essential to your gameplay. Oh god, one of these guys. So we're going to knock him out with our knockout gas, because that'll definitely kill him. Alright. Another thing about the Peeping Tom, you can actually hold it and go invisible, which will give you obviously an advantage on your opponents as far as stealth is concerned. Now do keep in mind, I am playing this game under hard, not quite 1999 mode, but not normal either, and I have found that this game is a bit more challenging than previous episodes, even more challenging than the initial game, alright? It could be because it's more stealth focused, or honestly I think the encounter design in this installment is generally just better and more enjoyable than previous installments. Not that I didn't enjoy the previous installments encounters either, but this one definitely had a few highlights, that's for sure. Alright, so as you can see, you're definitely going to want to take them out as soon as you see them with the tranquilizer dart if possible. You don't really want to get into a conflict as you can't take a lot of damage, alright? Now, in the previous episode, the whole gimmick was that you returned to Rapture, but besides being placed back into Rapture, the game really just felt more like the core game of Bioshock Infinite. Not that that's a bad thing, but it didn't really set itself apart from the core, okay? What really kind of remained with me as far as the first episode was definitely the ending. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that is. If you haven't played already, I definitely recommend playing it. But the ending definitely is what was a highlight for me in that game. Now this one is a little bit different. It definitely did a better job at setting itself apart from the core game as, you know, being more stealth-centric. But not just that, but because you're playing through Elizabeth's perspective, your insight into the story is actually a lot more interesting this time around. Oh, I don't like these guys, so I'm gonna take... Oh god, I missed. That's not good. Hold on. I want to take care of this guy because they're a big pain in the ass. Alright, so 1 dart, 2 dart. That should take care of them. Alright. But as I was saying, because you're playing as Elizabeth, your perspective in the story is a lot more interesting this time around. That, with the stealth-centric gameplay, it definitely helps set this game apart from the core, which I found the first episode kind of didn't do as well as it could have. Alright. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the first episode quite a bit. I really did. However, this game definitely does a lot better job at being its own game. Alright. So the game is also longer than the first episode as well, as it only took me 3 to 4 hours to really complete the first episode, but it took me about 5 or 6 hours to complete the second episode, maybe because it's artificially lengthened, because you're moving a bit slower, being a stealthier kind of game. But either way, it is definitely lengthened regardless, alright? So, as far as bang for your buck, this installment will definitely give you a little bit more of that as well. Now, you know, this is still, you know, a Bioshock game, all the same. The stealth play does feel, I wouldn't say it's tacked on, but I can definitely see it being placed in the previous Bioshock if they decide to focus more on that as well. So it's not like revolutionary by any means. I find it more enjoyable than Thief's stealth play, that much I can say, but it's definitely just the usual stealth tropes, okay? Like, the AI is not any smarter or any dumber than any other stealth game that you've seen previously. But because this game also, you know, has, you know, the beautiful aesthetics of Bioshock, as well as the intriguing story and the great character developments, and just the general aesthetic and narrative quality of what Bioshock brings to the table, you know, the, I guess, generic stealth tropes is kind of acceptable. Whereas in Thief, it's trying to be the main focus, and it kind of fell flat on that because it was just nothing I hadn't seen before. And even though this game does kind of suffer from that as well, it's nothing I haven't seen before, but all that in combination with the Bioshock elements really does make it very, very enjoyable. If I had to pick between the first episode and this one as being my favorite, I would have to say this one. Alright, like I mentioned earlier, the first one didn't really set itself apart as it was really just Bioshock Infinite but in Rapture. This one is definitely more of its own game. A whole new character perspective as well as a whole new focus in game mechanics definitely help, you know, help it do it, you know, help do its own thing, you know, be a bit more unique and all that. And I have to say it's quite enjoyable. The story is definitely as fantastic as you would expect. Bioshock storylines are always top-notch, and this game definitely haven't changed that one bit. The quality is very, very good. Extremely, extremely intriguing story, great character developments, and the ending. Oh my god, the ending. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say any more than that. Alright, just you got to play it for the ending. That's all I'm saying, alright? Well, that's about it, guys. I don't want to get too far into it, as I don't want to spoil too much of the game for you guys, as mentioned earlier. I really just kind of want to talk about the differences between this and previous installments, and as well as some of the stuff that I liked about the game, and what makes this game its own game and all that stuff. And it is enjoyable, and that's what I want you guys to take out of this impression video. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys found this useful. If you did, please send me some love, like, share, fave, and comment. But most importantly, help me grow, feed me my vegetables, and subscribe. That'll be a great help. Thanks for watching, guys. All the shoutouts.